Today we're kind of in a rush. I'm gonna go out and time-lapse some storms. I've really been getting into time-lapse photography from Michael Shainblum and Michael Binsky. They're probably two of the main influences of what I've been doing lately. So I'm really excited to get out and time-lapse storms. I'm kind of limited with my gear today just because, yesterday I went out and time-lapse. There was like a big storm that built really quickly where I was shooting, so I went out and time-lapsed that, and the time-lapse turned out really cool. But halfway through, I decided to go with a telephoto shot too and do the same thing, and it's kind of a funny story. Well, not for me, but maybe for you. And a huge gust of wind came in, and my wide angle that was set up was fine, but it blew the telephoto that was set up on a little smaller tripod. It blew that over and broke my telephoto lens. So I had to send that into Sony today into like repair purgatory. Who knows how long it could be gone. So limited with gear today, but I don't know, excited to see what I get. You never really know what you're gonna get with storms coming in because they're so unpredictable and honestly sporadic.
Chasing storms in West Tennessee is actually much harder than you would initially think. We don't get sustained supercells like you would get in the Midwest. In West Tennessee, they pop up and disperse within 30 minutes, releasing a violent downpour of heavy winds and rain that cause flash flooding and intense bursts of wind. So I was a little bit nervous about what I would be able to find, what I would be able to capture, because you have to guess where they're gonna pop up, if you're gonna get in the right spot, and if your camera's gonna be pointed in the right direction.
It's starting to get a little windier. It's like 11:50 right now. They're projecting storms to roll in here at about 1:15. I think they're gonna roll in a little bit earlier. It looks like they're building on the radar at least a lot more quickly than expected, a little bit further west. But like coming out here, it's kind of hard to find locations because a lot of times when you do come out, you don't really know where the storms are gonna develop, where they're gonna pop up, and where they're gonna build. So I'm looking over here, like pointed directly out west behind me. We're just like right in the middle of this soybean field. I think like predominantly with these for time lapses, you don't really have to think that much. So probably just set up composition with the horizon line just like way down at the bottom to get a lot of that movement in the clouds and in the sky. But the wind is starting to pick up here.
The outflow of wind from the first cell was so intense that I had to stop recording, and it actually released a heavy downpour of rain that I had to put my rain cover on and wait for it to disperse before I would continue my next time lapse.
One of the reasons I do like time-lapse photography is because it's actually pretty simple. You can do it just with the gear you already have. I'm just using A7R2 wide angle lens all the way wide so I can get a big sky, and then a cable release. So it's pretty standard, pretty easy. I think the main thing you have to think about is just motion in the sky, and I just love that look of clouds building and storm clouds moving around really quick and almost getting a kind of a swirl effect when you are shooting time lapse. And I love types of photography that you never know what it's actually going to look like until you see it in the finished product, in that finished stage. And that can be, star trails, that can be long exposures, Milky Way photography, that can be time lapse.
So, I don't know. I love that mystery, I guess, that's attached to it. And I don't know whether or not these storms are going to build as quickly as they said they were, but I'm going to go ahead and fire off some shots and just see what happens. I don't really know what will happen, and that's just kind of storm photography, time-lapse photography 101, I guess.
I've always been enamored with the power of storms and supercells, even back to when I was a kid and I would sit on the back porch and watch them pass and see the lightning and listen to the wind. I was a little bit off on guessing for this time lapse, just having it out of frame, but you can see the rotation around the center of that cell passing through. My next time lapse is one of my favorites ever.
Look at this back here. This is why it kills me to not have a telephoto lens. The rain is just absolutely dumping back here, and you have a pretty good cloud building off back here that would provide some good contrast. I'm hoping that it stretches all the way across to this part where we're just finishing up the time lapse, but you know, I think before the rain gets here, pack everything up, rush down the road to another spot and try to get in front of it a little bit as the clouds continue to form. There's a really cool composition just down the road, so I'm actually going to start going ahead and packing up and putting my camera stuff in the car, and then I'm going to rush down the road.
When I got to this next location, I noticed on the radar that a new supercell was starting to form right over this tree where I was. Luckily for me, the rain didn't start until after it had gone over my head, so I got the full time lapse in entirety. And the power of this supercell forming over this tree really makes it what it is. You can see this intense glow from the cloud that highlights the tree and the composition and really makes it what it is. Another advantage of time lapses is that I can pick out certain frames that are my favorites throughout the sequence and make them into still images like this one. This shows how much power there was, that glow from the clouds, and what it actually looks like in a still photograph.
Can I get a tall nitro cold brew, please?
I'm so sorry, we are out of our cold brew right now.
Oh no.
I know.
Okay.
We've been doing iced coffee, or we could do like an iced Americano.
Whew. That's a risk. Let me go with just a tall blonde Americano.
Yeah. You want to do that hot?
Yes, please.
What else?
That's it.
All right, it'll be $2.91.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a crushing blow. If you love coffee, I don't even like Starbucks, but if you love like coffee, I'd say blonde Americano hot #1 is probably their best hot drink because it doesn't have that burnt taste that Starbucks brew has. #2, if it's a hot day and it's really hot and like stagnant and humid today, their nitro cold brew is like my go-to, but not today. Hey.
It is $2.91.
All right.
Sorry about no cold brew.
It's okay.
It's a travesty.
I'll get it next time.
Right.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good day.
I wanted to take you through some creative and technical decisions that I made. So each one of these time lapses was shot at 1 second intervals at 1/80th of a second, f/16 and ISO 100. I don't think the composition would have been what it is without this little glow on the green knoll of grass down in the foreground, highlighted also by the intense motion in the clouds and also how much the clouds actually lit up and opened up right above the tree, revealing like the intense blue glow that storms can sometimes have. The patterns of storms make the time-lapse sequence what it is. I was honestly insanely lucky to get this motion in the clouds. In the still photograph though, I think bringing out some of that highlighted area with dodging and burning really made this photograph what it was, and I was really happy with how it turned out in the end. I want to thank you for watching this video and coming on this adventure with me. If you don't mind, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you can watch future videos as well.